and I recognize my good friend and other pharmacist in Congress, Representative Carter from Georgia, for his 5 minutes of questions.
Well, thank you, and thank all of you for being here. Very interesting discussion. In case you're wondering why I'm at the top of the dais and at the bottom of the questions, I was 40 seconds late, so that explains that. But nevertheless, that's the rules, and we have to abide by them. Mr. Parker, thank you for being here. Haven't heard a lot from you, but I've got a lot of questions for you as a fellow pharmacist, and certainly want to know how AI can help us, particularly when it comes to patient compliance, and particularly when it comes to helping patients and making it easier for them, the process. Can you tell me how AI healthcare platforms can empower America's vast pharmacy providers, particularly our independent pharmacies, to serve patients?
Sure. I mean, I think maybe helpful to talk through the patient journey at General Medicine in that context where, prior to a visit with a patient, we are able to collect their full historical medical record. You use AI to analyze that and figure out where they might have care gaps and recommendations a clinician can provide. But there's no reason that information couldn't also be presented to a pharmacist to help them identify similar levels of care gaps, vaccinations, other opportunities to help the patient improve their health. And I think, with General Medicine, the ambition is that we're able to empower providers, not just our providers, but providers in the community to provide that level of care. And I think it's a combination of robust access to medical records based on all the work that's been done here, coupled with the intelligence of AI.
So obviously we'd have to have the patient's permission to use those medical records, and that would go without saying. But can you see it, one of the things that I've seen over my years of practice in pharmacy is how insurance companies and third-party payers have really taken part. I can remember, and I'm telling my age here, but I can remember when, everything was cash, and you just got the lowest price you could get if you were a consumer. But now it's so much of it depends on your insurance and what's covered and what's not covered. So I can see it helping in the sense that before you even go, you would before you even visit the pharmacy, you ought to know whether this is covered or not by your insurance company.
It's exactly how we think about it. So in reality, you should be able to see all of that information before you ever get to the pharmacy counter, both the insurance price, the lowest cash price, whether it requires a prior authorization. So as a consumer, you're not sitting there trying to wrestle through this at the pharmacy counter. I think one interesting anecdote from my previous experience building out the pharmacy business at Amazon is that by just showing them a clear insurance and cash price up front, half the time the consumer was choosing to use cash because it ended up being cheaper than their benefit. And I think you see a very similar dynamic across the medical benefit. I don't know the ratios specific to each category yet, but it really is empowering to the consumer to have that information up front and to be able to make an informed decision.
And that's going to improve patient compliance.
Yep.
I can think of so many situations. One of my pharmacies, I had 3 pharmacies, but one of them was kind of in a rural area where people had to travel a long distance. And whenever they bring me a prescription and they want to get it filled, and I have to tell them, I'm sorry, I got to call your doctor because I got to get a prior approval. A lot of times they'd never come back and get the medication. And so patient compliance, I would think, would increase tremendously with this as well.
Yep, I totally agree. I mean, I think there's oftentimes in the Amazon experience where something was $14 and required a prior authorization. Like the amount of wasted energy that was going into that far exceeded the $14 cost that they could just pay out of pocket. And so I think just pulling this forward into the customer experience has a tremendous impact.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad to hear this because this is something obviously that I've experienced over my career, my professional career, and ways to improve it and make it more streamlined, if you will, I think will really result in better health care for Americans. Real quickly, Dr. Ibrahim, I wanted to ask you, how can AI accelerate innovation in drug development?
Thank you so much. I think one of the themes that you have heard today is AI helps in a lot of the informational challenges. So much of the drug development historically has been empiric. Like we've almost been lucky. We just try hundreds or thousands of things to get the one that's right. AI does a good job in pattern recognition and to be able to predict of the 1,000 things that we were going to try, these ones may be more likely. So there's enormous potential in the early discovery phase to make it more efficient.
Good. Well, I certainly hope, and I'm looking forward to this particularly with AI because in my years of practice in pharmacy, I've seen nothing short of miracles as a result of research and development and drug development, and I hope that that's going to be the case with AI. Very good panel. This has been very interesting. Thank y'all for being here, and I yield back.
Gentlemen,